Good morning, everybody. It's Max, D, and Syb coming at you with a bit of a new thing. We're having a relaxed conversation about the news, and this is very funny. We're going to get right into it here. So apparently, y'all remember the Pinkertons from that Western game you played recently, where you're like, wow, these people are kind of douchebags. Well, they're actually based on a real thing, a real group of people it's a mercenary wing, used to work a lot for the U.S. government and also mostly busted up unions going back to the 1850s. Apparently they raided a YouTuber's house the other day because he made the mistake of ordering online a pack of cards from Wizards of the Coast. And what he got was a pack of cards that weren't supposed to be released yet, although they had the same name as the cards that he had ordered. So it was like a little mini expansion
distribution
for it.
error.
Yeah, it was a distribution error from a distributor. So some people are saying, "Oh, he knew what he was ordering," and it's like, well, but did he really? I mean, when you're ordering one thing and it's got the same name as the other thing, and then he's talking about, because he's opening this on live, he's doing a live stream, and he's opening the package, expecting to get one thing, talking about he's going to get one thing, then he gets the other thing, and he's really confused, and he's like, "Oh, is this a new thing? Is this the stuff that's coming out soon? This is kind of strange." Anyways, yeah, Pinkerton militia show up at his house the next day and proceed to confiscate a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, that's the news. Max, what do you think?
So wait, let me get this straight.
Mm-hmm.
The person from Wizards of the Coast sent them the wrong card pack. And then they send a security firm after him.
Yep.
Because of a mistake they made.
Now
they go and harass him and his wife because of a mistake they made.
Yeah, so apparently the distributor, so the distributor didn't work for Wizards of the Coast, but they're a standardized distributor in his area.
Okay. Forgive me.
So they sent him a whole bunch of these pre-release packs, like 3 weeks early. Apparently they weren't even supposed to have sent those out yet. They were supposed to come with, there's supposed to be some paperwork. Then you're supposed to get them about a week and a half beforehand so that, you can have it in the store or have it on your online store or whatever, ready to go to sale for the people who are going to buy it locally from you, right? But he's still like an official distributor. And the biggest mistake he made was probably just grabbing the wrong packs, because he's in a warehouse full of, or like a small warehouse full of card packs, full of video game stuff, tabletop game stuff. And he's like, I'm looking for 5 packs of this, and he's going through his stuff, and he just, he opens the same box. Like, we see the boxes where they come in now, and it's like, there's no difference. Like, it's got the same like header, the same art on it. The one thing just has like an extra word on it versus the other one that doesn't. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, then they followed up with a hard and fast militia group. Only in the States, apparently.
Apparently, they had sent a call. They tried to call him, tried to be like, "Hey, look, hey, there's a mistake," but the guy didn't respond.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because the number was like unlisted. They called. It was unlisted. Didn't say anything, like Wizard of the Coast, yada yada. And they didn't leave a voicemail. They didn't send an email. They didn't try to contact him in any way other than one phone call, and apparently a visit to his house when he wasn't there. And so the next time they thought he was dodging them, and so they wanted to make sure to catch him when he was there, not contact him beforehand, because they were worried that he would dump or get rid of the cards. I'm like, all right, I don't know why that really be a big problem, but it's still just the Pinkertons. The straight up Pinkertons, like most people I talked about this one, they had no idea they even still existed. They're like an archaic group, and unless you're really pay attention to like union busting things, like the Amazon and Starbucks situation, most people don't know they're still around.
Yeah. And I mean, so I knew they were still around because Mercenaries it's actually, so the two of the oldest organizations.
Agency, quote unquote.
Yeah. The two of the oldest still concurrent running companies in the world. One of them is a mercenary group. I don't think it's this one. It's a different one. It's based out of Europe. And then the other one is the Brotherhood of Magicians, hilariously enough. Right? The and all the hilarity that comes with that. And of course those two things have a little bit in common, essentially, because it was we've been through this before when just a few years ago, and we were very close to this story. Submato was his name, was a YouTuber who did just entirely nothing but Borderlands content. And Borderlands was streaming stuff on Twitch through like private accounts, and there was a way that you could like force to see a screenshot of what they were playing, even though it was a private thing. And it was the next Borderlands game, and everybody was like freaking out because they thought this was like part of like some kind of like super secret thing, because they had just put out a trailer where they hid codes, Twitch codes, the same, like basically the same, not the same, but like the same, like they were for Twitch, so it's like it's the same code system, right? Because it's like, you know, Twitch and Twitch, right? And they, because he like managed to get some data, got some info from that, talked about it, put that up on his Discord. Because he did that, again, it was like, it wasn't like a friendly call, like, hey, yeah, this was so totally not meant to be public, and it's not part of like some kind of like fancy, like hidden clue scenario. Could you please take that down? No, they started with sending security forces to his fiance's parents' business, and then his own parents' business, to hang out all day and basically say, where is this guy? Where is this guy? Where is this guy? Where is this guy? And then they showed up at his house, basically with guns, and said, give us your stuff now. And they didn't pull the guns, but they were still armed and said, give us all the stuff now, your private laptop, your PC, your cell phone, everything, we're taking it all, period. Didn't even show up with a warrant. Like, no legal side to it, just like, give us this or else. And then,
you know how they act? I'm not sure, like the sounds. Have you ever seen a show called Peaky Blinders?
Yeah.
I don't watch like a lot of shows, but like the way you're putting this very much feels as close to gangsters as it gets.
Yep. Right.
Peaky Blinders was that was nutty.
Yeah. And well, it's just in that scenario again, it was like he had no intention of like hurting them or like trying to like he was a fan. His entire channel was devoted to it. And after the fact, he's like, we couldn't even get his internet. Like his ISP cut him off because of what the allegations from these companies were. And he basically couldn't get online after that. Like, and as far as I know, still can't, because we tried to reopen communication with him, and he still can't get online. So it's like giant corporations have some serious power problems. I think, like it really boils down to these people have no self-control whatsoever.
No, here's the thing. I think that is putting too little onus on their decision making. Primarily because like they come in like councils, right? These are corporations. They make business decisions. They're consulting other people. It's not just like when I say giant corporations, like it's to say they have little control. Seems like they're making rash decisions, but no, we have to remember that they're probably consulting several people, and a group of them have decided, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah, this is the
And
best thing to do.
That's insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
But the Pinkerton thing is just... I've been rallying against Wizards of the Coast lately, Hasbro, I guess, in general, but to the point where people are saying I'm doing like a holy crusade against this kind of stuff, but it's like, is it that crazy when you're dealing with a corporation that, one, tries to jack up prices on literally everything, tries to take advantage of the various... they take advantage of the second market prices for the secondary market, tries to own things that people make, tries to make decisions for people in these sort of situations. Like, you know how with the DMG, not DMG, the Dungeon Master Guild, yeah. When you post there, and even though you're giving Wizards of them 50% of everything, Wizards of the Coast owns the things you post up there. They just own it. That's it. Just pure. Just own it. And that's the power of modern society is that we keep believing that things have gotten better and that these corporations are not as insane as they still actually are, because corporations union busting, freaking trying to send goons at people to take products that were just given to them by mistake. It wasn't like he was just going around being sneaky about this. It was an honest to God mistake. That's how they found out about it. It's just insane, man. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, let's recap some of the more crazier mistakes that Wizards of the Coast have made recently. They did a release for original Magic the Gathering, and they sold card packs for the original game, reprints, which is something that they promised they'd never do. And each one they sold, each pack, was it each pack or was it a pack of 3? Was $1,000.
Shoot. This is the anniversary edition. Yeah, I think he was a pack of 3. I can double check that real quickly, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a pack of 3. They sold it for $1,000. And again, it's like, if you're... Max, how much have you spent on one game, if you dare to answer that?
I would rather not.
I think,
honestly,
the most collector-y game that I probably spent the most money on, that's not like a monthly subscription, because I don't know how to count that one out. But Stellaris is probably the biggest game that I have, because I have all of the DLC. And I buy all of the DLC as soon as it comes out. Same with Northgard and a couple other ones, but
okay, I got this. MTG 30th anniversary is a box of cards, yada yada yada. 4 15-card booster packs, which include 12 modern frame cards, 2 retro frame cards, 1 art token, coming to $1,000.
Yeah.
However, the things printed on here have an illegal backing, making all the cards here non-playable.
Yeah,
these are art pieces, effectively.
Yeah, this is like you're framing them, but you're not even guaranteed to get one of the rare cards, because the chances are still super, super low. So it's like they made Max, you remember the Diablo Immortal thing where they made the website where you could roll to see how much money it would take before you randomly got one of the things.
Yeah, wasn't it like $100,000?
Yeah, some people
100,000.
Some people would spend $100,000 trying to get one top tier gem. And typically it was around $30,000. Somebody got it as low as 15, but that was always the case. Is that it seemed that you had to spend at least $15,000 on the game before you could even get one.
My life was better before I knew those types of people existed. Syb, thanks. No,
yeah. But no, it's just there's these companies are dead set on selling products that don't have actual value, and it's like right now, actual value in Stellaris is $321 for everything, and I think that's one of the better games that I have in my game collection. I still play it a fair bit. But I understand, like, obviously, like, MTG and Warhammer, stuff like that. Those are all, like, you have real things, right? You have real pieces of, real characters, paintables, like miniatures, that kind of stuff. But these microtransaction heavy games are like, it gets a little ridiculous. And it's still ridiculous for the card games too. But at least you have a physical card. But in this case, again, they're selling you cards that you couldn't actually use in competition.
Couldn't use. They were effectively proxies.
Yeah,
it was insane.
And
yeah.
And then on top of that, like, you have to roll the chance to get it. It's like, well, why didn't you just like frame up like 4 cards of the 4 ones, the 3 or the 4 that everybody always wanted, and you just frame that in a frame with some like make it that kind of like a permanent thing, and then you can sell that. It's like that makes so much more sense than.
Did you also end up hearing about the Lord of the Rings thing to do with it?
No, what would they do? I feel like I'm going to get sick.
Shoot, you didn't know. Okay, so Wizards of the Coast, MTG, they released limited printing Lord of the Rings cards. So these are numbered. So like, hey, this card, there are 600 copies of it. This one, and they're like, oh, this is
number 34.
Yeah. They literally printed a single copy of quote unquote the One Ring in I believe it's in Elvish, and like it is literally one of a kind. And people are like, I guess that's kind of clever and neat. But then it gets a little bit more insidious, realizing that this literal one of a kind card, it's the kind of thing that someone's going to get stabbed over.
Oh yeah, that's
well, like, I mean, it is the One Ring, and we know what happened to Smeagol. So I'm just.
Oh my goodness, they created an actual reason for players to murder each other over the game.
I believe one person on Reddit literally made a post saying, "Hey, I will pay you $15,000 for the One Ring, and I will fly to like Hawaii and throw it in a volcano." And I'm like, "Okay, all right, I'm down."
My process.
That's actually sort of smart. Like especially who's going to film the whole thing hilariously enough.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be amazing. It'd be one of a lifetime kind of thing. Because again, but why do a single printing? This is just insane. They are pricing things for the secondary market. They're doing these things to like agitate the market because they finally realize that people are treating cards much like investment stocks, and like, and now they're pricing it like they're investment stocks.
This is it's a terrible idea. The NFT market is crashing right now, hard, and I am so happy because of it, because NFTs solve a problem that nobody has. It's like, hey, don't you wish you could like have a picture of this thing and that you own the picture? It's like, yeah, normally we just call that a painting, but sure, digital paintings, I guess that's the kind of thing. But you don't actually own the thing; you just own the receipt that says that you bought the thing. But you can't actually sue for it. It's like that guy who bought he bought an original copy of some like script or something, and he's like, I now own this very famous movie series. I own this now. This is mine. I own it. What was it, Dune? Yeah, it was Dune. He's like, I bought an early version of a script that somebody wrote for a Dune movie. Therefore, I now own all of the Dune movies.
Because that's how that works.
Because that's how that works, right? Because, that makes total sense. So yeah, that didn't turn out well for him. It turned out to be, and I think he spent $2 million on it. It's like $1 or $2 million, and he thought that it was because he thought that he would then own, the whole series, which means that he could like, get royalties from it and all that stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's not how that works.
$2 million for Dune? Are you kidding me? How does somebody that stupid get to be that rich?
Yeah, but D, what you were saying is like that's what Wizards of the Coast is trying to replicate in their choices. Is they're going out of their way to try and replicate the control of the secondary like bidding market, which is what kind of NFTs are trying to do or capitalize on. But then you don't actually get anything like well, you certainly don't get anything out from NFTs, and I would argue heavily that you don't. It's not a good investment to buy, these cards from Wizards of the Coast or anything, because they can at any moment just choose to print more. Like if the money is there, and they've shown that they're all about the money. If it's between them going bankrupt and them reprinting, 20 more One Rings and selling them all for selling them in packs that people have to buy en masse. And
they do have many other One Rings. Like there's a regular playable version of the card, which is also a broken card. But they made the limited, this is a one of a kind printing with like the serial number and everything. So like that is one thing that they're doing. But yeah, they are trying to price at the secondary market. Being like, hey, we're just printing these cards. It's just for fun. Now it's, hey, we're printing this card knowing it's going to cost several $1,000s. Then you're going to pay a sliver of that every time you roll for the chance at getting that one very expensive card, which just jacks up the price of booster packs and ultimately I think might even lower the quality of some cards. Like I play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! And in Yu-Gi-Oh! People also, I don't know if Yu-Gi-Oh! Prices for the secondary market, but at the same time, they make a lot of different kinds of rarities. Like I think in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's over 43 kinds of rarities. And that's insane to me. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is also not pricing at that level. But Wizards of the Coast is constantly trying to create these these ways to engage the market. They try to do it with Wizards of the Coast. I know they tried to do it with Magic the Gathering. They're going to try to do it with D&D. I'm 100% certain with their new VTT, they're going to include gacha systems, which pivot a little bit back to Wizards of the Coast here. I did a stream sometime in December after I heard they were going to do one D&D. I did a stream with my community of, hey, let's try to guess what's the best / worst way Wizards of the Coast is going to try to monetize things, including things such as paint gacha. You know gacha? Gacha. You play Honkai Impact. Paint gacha. Hey, you want to paint this character like blue? You better buy blue. And by blue, I mean you better roll for blue, and you hope you get the right kind of blue.
Yeah, and then you only get one copy of that blue to use on one thing at one point. So if you misclick and paint the belt blue instead of trying to click on the tunic, tough luck. You're going to have to repaint over that, and then you're going to have to buy new paint in the gacha system, and it's going to eat up all that stuff. And you want black? Oh, black is like super rare. That's going to be like, that's one of the special cards that you get. And there's only 1 in 10,000 of them. So, nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
They're trying their best to quote unquote engage the D&D market for more money. But there's also some very interesting things that they're doing to mask how insidious they are. For one, for the VTT, they talked about how the only one that needs to own the VTT in order to run it for people is the GM, but they already know that the majority of purchases come from GMs and not players. I believe GMs are a sliver of the amount of players, but they spend, I think, over 60% more.
Yep.
It's a massive amount on play. So of course they're not going to ask for every player to own the VTT, just the one that they already knows is going to spend the most money. And the GMs could be oh, with this I can run it for as many people as I want. And they're already making it so the only way to have homebrew on D&D Beyond is you can have your own homebrew, but in order to incorporate anybody else's, you have to own the subscription. So you want to add homebrew? You want to modify some things? Well, you need to pay us monthly for that one. And if people don't think they're going to do that for the VTT, if people don't think that they're going to say, hey, here's customizable / different sheets that you could roll gacha for, I don't know. Everyone's thinking too well about them. And just, I'm so tired of people thinking of Wizards of the Coast as their friend. I'm so fucking done with it. Sorry. Hi.
No, that's that you hit the nail on the head there, because these companies are not your friend, especially Wizards of the Coast. They're the heads of Wizards of the Coast. This goes the same for Blizzard, of course. Is the head of the company couldn't even give you a basic synopsis of any of their products. Like they just don't understand what it is that people love about their things that they own. And because of that, you constantly have this swing and a miss when it comes to them doing the things to help preserve their audience, or helping to it's always about their bottom line. And they're not even doing it smartly. Like, when was the last time that we saw any company go, you know what, we're going to make sure that we do this for the long haul? I mean, you could say Microsoft because of the investments that they're making and the goals that they're trying to have, and the fact that they've gone to all these game companies that they bought out and said, look, just make art. Don't worry about the sales, because we're putting, pretty much everything on Game Pass. So the immediate sales don't actually matter to us. What matters to us is things like 76 and things like the what's the Pirates game called again?
Sea of Thieves?
Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, so it's Sea of Thieves, right? So you get Sea of Thieves, where it is not the release numbers or that initial release window. It's about the long haul. And again, this is really true for 76. 76 has hundreds of thousands of players who play that on a monthly basis. A lot of those are returning. It's not just new people playing it for 5 minutes and going, this is garbage. It's like they have a huge, active, strong community. But at launch, that game was an absolute disaster. But now, having come this far along, they are, again, they're not creating as much content or the type of content that each player wants necessarily, but they are spending time. They're not just letting it go, right? They're not like abandoning it, like Anthem from EA. What a nightmare that one was, because it's like they just dropped it like a stone, because they were like, you know what, rather than struggle through and make this actually good and address all the concerns that the active community has, we're just gonna like call it a loss, write it off on our taxes, and then just like move on. It's like, oh, that's so sad when that happens, because we lose art, we lose stuff. But this is not the only thing that Wizards of the Coast has done that's very, very controversial recently. Of course, they had the OGL debacle, and
you would think they would learn after the whole OGL thing that, hey, here's an opportunity for us to turn a really bad situation into a positive PR move, where we go there and say, hey, yeah, this happened, but you know what? We're going to give this guy, I don't know, what he asked for, maybe a tiny little thing on top of that, just to show, hey, we're not completely evil. But no, they had to go full hog and just pull a take two on this poor guy.
Mm-hmm.
This
Pinkerton thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I actually had this
go ahead.
I had a New Year's resolution, because I've always been very critical of Wizards of the Coast, very critical of Dungeons and Dragons. I said to my chat at the beginning of the year, I'm going to be more positive about 5e, D&D, Wizards of the Coast, all of it. I'm going to try to be a more positive influence, be nicer. Then 3-4 days later, the OGL debacle hits, and I didn't even have 4 days on the be happy about D&D wagon, and then they just dragged me back in. Like from the skies, a lightning bolt shot down, being, "Hey, you're not done here. Keep going." I'm like, "Oh man." You brought me back into the game. Oh man, just the whole thing. And then you think they could fix everything at the new freaking Creator Summit, but then they ended up doing the half elf
travesty. I think this is a travesty. I think this is one of these moments where it's like somebody, is running up to you and they're like, "Don't go over there and talk to those people. Those people are racist." And you're like, "Oh, really? Gosh, really? That's terrible. Yeah, those blankety blank 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 blank." Like I think of like
What?
Arrested Development.
Where's
In Arrested
Okay.
Development, when the sun goes off, like they're all kind of like trashing their mom a little bit, but they're all doing it in like light jest, and then Buster runs in, and just there's this like solid like 30 seconds of beeping because of what he said, and then everybody's like, "Okay, wow, that went way too far. Okay, I guess we're done here," and then everybody just leaves. It's like that's the level of what I personally felt was like racism coming out of their own mouths, because they're like, we just, half anything that's a half anything is that's just inherently racist. We really don't like that. And I'm sitting here going,
Wizards of the Coast is trying to get their PC points, and like, it's not hard to be, PC to be like, positive in the environment. Look at Pathfinder. It's not hard. It's not hard. Just make good representation, and I don't know. And then they took the condemnation route of being, hey, half constructions are inherently racist, and there's a whole conversation about why that's inherently racist. But, people tend to assume, because when you say you're half something, the implication is that you're half. In D&D, it's human, and which apparently is the XP of being white in like our world, but also
I don't know how that factors in, but sure, okay.
There's been a lot of commentary, majorly.
Oh, I've seen it. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm always like that's kind of dumb, because you're putting things in a box, and then you're also taking real world stuff and you're dragging it into a fantasy world.
It's part of it's because Tolkien, the yikes, the yikes of the past. He based a lot of the various races back then, the various species of his creations, the orcs, on like negative stereotypes of the people. And here's the thing: yes, it is great to call out that, hey, there are these influences, and they can reflect poorly on the people that's related to. The orcs being black people is like a very, very common association. But at the same time, we are also able to, I like using the term opt out. We are able to opt out of the racism of the past because we can make new content and make new stories that reframes people positively. The Wizards of the Coast did that with Eberron. They made like, I believe they made orcs like guardians of honor fighters. We can do that, but because they are so stuck in also keeping to the forgotten realm, because so stuck on the forgotten realm, which is where it's the most Lords of the Ringsy, and they're not willing to drop that completely. We can't fully escape it, and that is Wizards of the Coast. That is their own decision. So no, we can't really escape that kind of association, because the game creators are not willing to do the same thing. So we are going to deal with, white people being humans, black people being orcs. We're going to deal with that, and I really wish we didn't have to, but that's where it's going to go. I'd like us to move away from that, and keep fantasy cultures and build upon their own stories. But while the creators are not going to let go, we can't either. That's why they believe. That's why they made the statement of, "Hi, these half constructions are inherently racist. It assumes half human." And I'm like, any person I've talked to that's mixed race, I am mixed race. I'm Filipino Chinese. We typically say when we are something, we tend to say like the full thing. Sometimes maybe they'll say one and imply the other. Like if I have like a half black, half white friend, like, oh yeah, I'm half black, and assuming that the implication is going to be that we assume that they're also like half white, but that's typically not what I hear. I typically hear something along like, oh yeah, I'm black, I'm Scottish, I'm German. I'm like, okay, because it is a very, very common thing, I think, now, especially nowadays when we have like ancestry like sites and trees and trackers, that people tend to list out their percentages.
Mm-hmm.
It's very common nowadays. Or maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. I'm just an internet person. I don't even. Oh my God.
It's I think it's more common than like, it's more common to look at that and then it's to state things from just a pure view of like, yeah, this is just a factual thing and this is my connection to it. It's like, that's not inherently bad to say, oh, I'm half, whatever, being half
statement of fact.
Being half Ukrainian in my case, it's like that's only important in certain scenarios where I make it important, and then it's the importance is relevance to me in my personal history, right? So the way that some people like want to then emphasize it in this case, in a fantasy case, is like, I think that's dumb, primarily because the fantasy world is not meant to be, it's meant to be a very, very distant recollection of our world, and you don't have to drag. Yeah. You don't have to drag stuff into that, right? So,
people play what they know, they act what they know, and that's where we are not going to be able to escape so long as we cannot, the creators have to try more. Me, myself, I'm able to like create entirely different cultures for each of my various cultures, races, species in my worlds. Like, the creators should be able to do that too. Until they can, we can't. Mm-hmm. Max?
Sorry. Yeah.
I'm writing a fantasy series. I just finished up writing my 6th book. And each one is about a little under, or usually around 300,000 words. So they're really big, and I'm writing them out. I'm trying to get as many of them down first before we go in and do the final like edits to them and start releasing them. And I always find the most interesting thing is to try and create new things completely. Totally new takes on existing races, like fantasy races, because it's interesting to try something new. And I think that trying something new is what Wizard of the Coast should be more focused on than trying to like repair the past, because I feel that's what they're
grandfathering into law systems. Like, alignment doesn't really matter much anymore. Freaking,
which is weird. I'm chaotic evil. It's
doesn't
like
matter.
That's not going to color your choices at all. Nah.
Stat system is archaic. Okay. No one, people shouldn't be designing off it anymore, but they still are. Like, the only reason we had stats that go to like 20 was so we have roll under, but we don't roll under anymore. We could just put them as like plus minus bonuses now, but we don't. Mm-hmm. Most designers use plus minus bonuses anymore. Anyways,
it's interesting.
I think Max had to go.
Max,
yeah, I do.
Yes, he's got to go. So we're going to call it here. It's been wonderful. I get both of you to do the shout outs for both your channels. D is a new friend of the channel. You have a YouTube and other stuff, so go ahead.
Hi, I'm DiceQueen D. That's DiceQuendi. It's not pronounced die. You can find Twitch, YouTube, Patreon. I stream anime and I yell at voids on the internet so much so people say I have the energy of a chibi Alex Jones, like an anime Alex Jones, even though I'm not as batshit, I think. But I can get ranty. Thanks for having me. I'm also
Max,
a VTuber, very anime.
And Max, as always.
Oh, yes. We do the Maximum News Show over on the Triple S League podcast channel. And I also have my own personal channel where I talk about gaming, sometimes anime, with a great emphasis on psychological and philosophical themes. You can find me just at Max Derrat if you search me in the YouTubes and all the other forms of social media.
Absolutely smashing it out of the park, by the way. Some of your most recent videos are absolutely, I would say, close to groundbreaking in that realm of like content.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially the deep psychology of the stuff is like philosophy of psychology in games. It's something that was more prevalent, I think, in older games than newer ones. Although I think you might find Honkai Rail interesting. Honkai Rail just came out last night. So that's it. Like, follow. Bye.
Bye.